Hi everyone, welcome to this video or this webinar rather, that I wish we weren't doing and I wish you weren't having to listen to. If you are listening live, today is December 23rd, 2022. If you're listening to this in the future, listen, we are coming up with new ideas weekly through team meetings to find out how to get people matched initially with surrogates who are committed and able to move forward with the process, as well as working as a team on how to get people rematched or restarted. And I want to take the first couple of minutes. I'm just going to give it a minute for people to join. I know we have a lot of people who are planning to join today or who are going to be listening in the future. So we'll just give it one more minute and then I will jump to it. We have Aaliyah on in the background. She's going to share her screen for me. And yeah, Aaliyah, if you can, actually, we'll just wait a moment before we share anything else. That would be great. Okay. So again, welcome as people are coming in. As I said, this is a webinar I don't want to have to do. I don't want you to have to listen to it. And I hope that if you are watching, that you get some tips and some tricks that will get you rematched or restarted very quickly. I'd like to sort of explain rematch and restart. People sometimes get confused or not sure what I'm talking about. So a rematch situation would be where you have not really gotten out of the gate. You've been introduced. You, of course, have fallen in love with this person. It seems like everything's going well, and something comes up at screening, something comes up in her personal life, something comes up in your personal life, and things are placed on hold. And so we collectively decide, let's just move on. Let's rematch you. A restart's a little bit different, and it is generally when people have had unsuccessful. So we really want to, be careful with our language, or I do anyways, and call it unsuccessful, not failed, because no one fails at this. It's not a test. Unsuccessful transfers, losses, or even sometimes a transfer. And the doctor comes back to you and says, you know what? You only have a few embryos left. You need a new surrogate. We are here for all of those situations and scenarios, and we do our best to give you the tools to rebuild, rebrand yourselves in order to be selected quickly. The average wait time is 6 months on rematch or restart. And many intended parents say to me, well, I got picked right away last time. Before I paid, I was picked right away, and now I'm waiting. And absolutely, that is true. From month to month, we see various trends. We see different trends, I guess, would be the word. And so 6 months ago, what would work for us as an organization to showcase you, to sell you, to get you out there forward facing was different than it was a month ago, this month, what it will be next month. And so that is why at the beginning of the video, I said, these tips and tricks are good for today. If you're still on this list in a month, which I hope you're not, but if you are, we may change that. We are studying what gets people matched, what gets people rematched. And what we know is this: a surrogate needs to see 100 profiles before she picks one. That's why it often takes up to 6 months to get matched initially. Sometimes a surrogate, you enter our program, and the surrogate's already seen 99, you're 100, and you're picked right away. Other times, the surrogate has joined our program, and you're the first profile she sees, and so she passes on it. And there's no way to know, there's no way to anticipate that. But what we do know is the following items, the following tips we're going to give you work. Aaliyah is in the background on this video. Aaliyah, if you could just quickly bring up, and I wanted to do a real scenario. So we had a couple David and G. Anderson. They had 2 matches fall apart, just as COVID was happening. And I know a lot of you are sort of in that situation where COVID happened, surrogate walked away, you placed things on pause, and then, re-engaged with us, which was great. These guys had a friend step forward, and they did that journey, and now they're ready to do another journey. And so here's what worked for them. Aaliyah, if you could pull up their video. The reason this worked for them is they had the ability, which not everybody does based on where they live. They are Canadian. They had the ability to let us share them everywhere. Their video went viral, thousands of views, thousands of likes. And we had a surrogate come in. We actually had 2 surrogates come in specifically for them. So Aaliyah, if you can just show the first sort of 15 seconds of that video, that would be fantastic.
Hi, I'm David.
And I'm G.
And for CFC's Why campaign, we're answering the question, why have we not given up? And I guess the answer is kind of a 2-part answer. The first part has to do with our first surrogacy journey, where we kind of went through a bit of disappointment. We had 2 surrogates that ended up not working out in the end and kind of left us a little bit discouraged. But in the end, a good friend of mine actually offered to be our surrogate, and it was unexpected, and it really made us believe that miracles can happen, and that there are good people out there who do good things for other good people. So putting out that into the universe, someone did answer our prayers finally, so that really made us believe in this process. And then now for the second time round, we've been on the rematch list for quite some time, but again, we're trying to put out some good energies, trying to stay optimistic. We really do believe in this process, and we are so blessed and thankful to have Theo, and we can't wait to have a sibling for him. And we think if we just put that out enough, that it will happen. We truly believe in that.
Great. So Leah, if you want to stop that, perfect. So why that worked is personalized, speaking to the camera, sharing their discouragement, and their hope that it was that, their trust in this process. And they are in a great situation that they are able to share on social media. So we shared it. As I said, it went viral. We had 2 surrogates come forward for them, which is fantastic. So that video, amazing. The other way that we're getting people matched is through a personal interview that I am happy to do with any of you. I won't share theirs, but we kind of did a double campaign at the same time. So we had their video, and then we had my interview, and we had them going sort of day over day over day. So people saw them, in 2 different formats, which was really, really fantastic. So those are 2 great ways. If you aren't comfortable with us sharing on social, still do the interview. We will send it to 10,000 leads. So those are 10,000 Canadian women who at some point have engaged with us, either through starting an application, starting the process, and saying, I'm interested in finding out if I qualify, and I'm not ready yet. So we have all of these sort of people, and we send them emails each week. If you are, well, I think everyone right now is being inundated by emails. We signed up for something once and they follow us forever. We do that as well. So it doesn't have to be a social campaign, although when we look at the match time of a social campaign versus an organic content campaign, which would be sending out through our email, sending out in our private Facebook group, we know that it's 10 times faster to be matched if you allow us to share you on our social platforms. We have the largest reach in Canada, for actually North America, for surrogacy in terms of followers on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, which is where our surrogates sort of live and where we find them. The next piece of advice, if you don't have a video at all, you need a video. You will not match without a video. You will not match without a video. You will not match without a video. If we send, surrogates to ask us to see, 5 sets of intended parents that meet their criteria. So we're looking through, we're finding you, we're pulling you out. And if we send you with no video along with 4 intended parents with a video, you're going to get lost, because the 4 videos are going to be what inspire the surrogate, right? The next piece, and this is new, so if you have been with us for a great deal of time, you likely didn't have this option initially. But Aaliyah, if you could pull up and scroll through slowly our Canva lookbook. Aaliyah, can you go back to the front page of it? Sorry. So this lookbook, as you can see, the front page has, these are not our clients, but has you, and it's your story. Talks a little bit about you. Often when people do videos, it's quite canned and they're a little nervous. And this is just a really great way to showcase yourselves and your families and who this child will be coming home to. Really, really great option. If you don't have one, reach out. And I guess really importantly, if you are not speaking to Aaliyah, and when I say speaking with, I mean emailing, she is your go-to. She books calls typically once a month, once every 6 weeks with people to rejig their biography, their video, their Canva. Really, really great ways to engage with surrogates and for surrogates to find out a bit more about who you are. And so that's an example of a lookbook. I talked about the video. I talked about the interview. If you haven't done the interview with me, I would love it if you did. Please go into my calendar. I'm sure we've emailed before. Click book a call, and in the notes put intended parent interview so that I am ready to be on video with you and not, in the midst of working and, all that craziness. I want to make sure I am present for you to conduct the interview. The other advice, I talked to our case coordinators today, our case managers, and they suggested that when you see a profile you like, to send a personalized a personalized note. I mean, it could be a video. Some people do that, but a personalized something, note video. And here's the deal, cut paste and leave room to, within that cut paste, have 3 pieces that you've pulled out of her profile. So she talks about her dogs, maybe, hey, in your biography, I noticed you have dogs. I also have dogs, or I grew up with 6 dogs, or, whatever, to create that sort of common bond. Or, oh, I noticed in your video, your partner's in the military. My dad was in the military, and I felt a real closeness to your profile. So using language that is creating a connection or a bond. I felt really close. I felt warm when I read. I saw you have 5 kids. I'm number 3 of 5, or I'm an only child and I dreamed of having a big, huge family. Your kids are so lucky. Or, wow, you're from Trenton, Ontario. I spent time there as a kid when I would go to cadets camp, or, whatever it is that's going to draw her to you, so that when we send you, it's not just, hey, here's John and Jenny. It's here's John and Jenny, and they have these pieces in common. Here are the threads. Here's what they read. Surrogates in Canada, it's different. It's around recognition. It's around noticing. It's around connection. And so we want to teach you and coach you on how to create connection by email, by a text. And so once you're matched, and this is really important, and many of you, the match broke because the surrogate wasn't able to continue. There were unsuccessful transfers. There are many reasons. And my job, once you are matched, is to coach you. So you will have an email that says, here's your surrogates coordinator, and here's Leah to be your coordinator. Lean in. I would love to coach you. I've had surrogates break matches because the intended parents asked in the first communication, are you willing to eat organic? Are you willing to travel 3 hours away to the OB that we liked? Are you willing? Are you willing? And while all of that might be important to you, and we can get to that, the first step is building trust, building psychological safety, ensuring that she feels a sense of commitment to you and connection, and that you are not friend zoned. And when I talk about being friend zoned, people don't know until it happens to them. They're 6 months in, she hasn't gone for screening, you chat all the time, it's really friendly, and the conversation never loops back to surrogacy. So we really want to, um, treat this as online dating. We are identifying someone we are interested in. We are coming up with a catchy way for them to see us. You know, if you are from France and watching this video, let me guess, spending time with your family on the weekends, you enjoy cooking, you enjoy traveling, throughout the summer, you like hiking, and home repairs. You know, this morning, in fact, I looked at 10 profiles I pulled, as I do often to sort of look at, and they were all from France, and they all had the exact same hobbies and interests. So, what sets you apart? What is different about you? What would you say is something about you that makes you or your relationship or your partnership unique? And if you are on sort of the restart path in terms of unsuccessful transfers, you know, how do we talk about that in a way that does not scare a surrogate? How do we talk about that in a way that doesn't do this? If I were on a dating site and the first thing I talked about was my 3 failed marriages, 3 unsuccessful marriages, see where I'm going with that, I don't know that anyone would be interested so much. If I talked about my excitement to meet someone and to get started and to find love again, um, you know, that may be more appealing, right? So we want to ensure that while that doesn't mean we aren't tending to our grief, while that doesn't mean we aren't leaning into our grief, um, because our grief may motivate us, our grief may allow us to contemplate what's happened and really feel that so that as we move into our next journey, we aren't taking that heavy weight with us. It is important to portray the hope that we have, which is why David and G. Anderson's video was so good. In the interview I did with them, it was the same. You know, when I talked about how long they'd been waiting, and they'd been waiting a significant amount of time at that point, and I said, "Well, how have you not given up?" And so starting with that, if you're doing a personalized letter, like, you know, "Hey, Jenny, we wanted to reach out personally to you. We have had a really hard go, and we don't want to do a but because then that erases the hard go that we have, and acknowledging that and really being present in that, I think, is really important. We've had a really hard go, and we are so hopeful. We are so excited. We are so ready to become parents that the hardship that we've had along the way has only spurred us on, has only inspired us, has only given us great hope." All of that is so important. And it's important because it acknowledges it, it allows space for it, and we can talk about the future and our excitement. I talk to intended parents all the time, and they often will say things like, you know, I I'm so sad, and or even when they get pregnant, like, I don't know how to be happy because I've been so sad. Well, we can be both. We can be sad and grieve that this isn't us carrying, and be excited and happy that someone else is. Um, that is what I have. I would love to answer any questions. Um, Aaliyah, I don't know if anyone's asking questions. I'm also grabbing my charger because I noticed my laptop is dying after a crazy morning. So Aaliyah, I'll let you get any questions together that are there, and I'll grab my charger. Or I will not grab my charger because it isn't there. Okay, questions. How often do rematches happen? I'm actually going to connect this with my phone as well because I do not want to lose this conversation. Okay, I'm ready. Aaliyah, if my laptop dies, I'll move to my phone. How often do rematches happen? Rematches happen 15% of all matches end in a rematch situation. Many of them are actually a restart, as we know that 15% of IVF cycles are unsuccessful due to compatibility, or that's our stats anyways. And so no matter how many tries you do, it won't work because there is either her uterus doesn't like your embryos don't like her uterus. And so we will be looking for another surrogate for you. And unfortunately, there's no way to know that until we are in that situation. Okay, another question. How do we limit our costs if we end up on rematch? So, really talking to your lawyer about redrafting contracts, what that cost will look like, figuring out with your clinic what they would charge you should you need to screen another surrogate, um, figuring out life insurance, her will, like how far into the process have you gotten? It's really important as you're going into the process to look at when you may need that. We go into this process so hopeful and excited, and sometimes that can result in new car smell. And what new car smell is, and I use this as an example as one of my first jobs was selling cars, is that people get into the car and they get really excited and there's this smell that, it's like chocolate chip cookies. You walk into a house for sale with chocolate chip cookies and you feel this warmth, right? So you sign up to be an intended parent and you immediately have hope and it's warm and it's exciting. And sometimes we forget to ask the important questions. So asking your lawyer what the cost is to review a contract should your match break. And asking your lawyer to ask the other lawyer what their cost would be should the contract break. Are there deals available? Will your clinic charge you to rescreen a surrogate or to screen a new surrogate for you? Will we charge you? Looking at your contract and figuring out like, okay, I've had 3 transfers. I'm in a contract that says I need to pay another fee. What does that fee look like? Really having all the conversations up front. And if you are at this point now and it is too late, when you do rematch or restart, reach out to me. I will go to the lawyers, the clinic, and ask for deals on your behalf. It is not your fault that you are on rematch or restart, even if you walked away. Trusting your gut, trusting your intuition, really being in a state um, of just being you, right? Like being you and going, this doesn't feel right. I need to walk away. You will not be punished. You will not be put on the bottom of the list. People ask that all the time. That's not a thing. And it may take 6 months to rematch you. And if it's taken longer than 6 months, we need to be having bi-weekly calls to figure out why no one's connecting with you and why no one's picking you. Because we are getting you out to everyone. Surrogates see the people on rematch restart before they see our intended parents who are money match people. And I will say that the majority of our surrogates come in through a Facebook, Instagram, TikTok post. Hey, I want to be a surrogate and I want to be a surrogate for John and Jenny. I saw their video on Instagram or TikTok. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, wherever it is. So that is that. Aaliyah, I see your next question. Just give me one sec. Oh, if you want to book an interview with me, please go to my book a call link, type in the notes, book interview, rematch or restart interview. Really important. Yeah, someone else asked how you get your profile assessed. From time to time, we have a group of experienced surrogates who have retired. We have them look over videos and they'll give feedback. And I will tell you this: surrogates, we often reach out to them. Hey, why did you pick John and Jenny? They picked John and Jenny because John and Jenny had a dog that's the same dog as they have. It's not that someone isn't picking you, it's that a surrogate is picking someone else. And we never know why, really. It's just like that feeling. And so it is important to know that while this feels deeply personal, every time you put yourself out there to be punched in the face and not picked, it really isn't. It really isn't. She just felt a draw to someone else. And sometimes that is, based on profile, based on video. Let's get you out there. Our job is to sell you. Our job is to package you in the shiniest Christmas box with the biggest, most beautiful bow so that people see you. Because often we lead with our trauma. I've had 16 miscarriages and 20 IVF cycles. And in Australia, the doctors tell you have to keep trying. Or I have gone through a lot to get to this moment, and this is going to be the greatest comeback story ever. Same information. So let's figure out how to have surrogates see you and to see you for more than the trauma. That is important, leaning into that, healing from that, grieving from that, all of it. And we will get there. And your surrogate will be so friggin' inspired by all you have gone through and that you have not given up. Okay. Someone's asking, they've tried everything, but they're still not being picked. It is a numbers game. It is a numbers game. It is a numbers game. So, if you haven't done an interview or you want to redo your interview, I'm happy to do that. We are committed to you getting matched, and we will continue to sell you and try different things. And, have a call with me. Let's do calls, have calls with Aaliyah. And, there are some people that have left our program because we haven't matched them. And it's heartbreaking. And more importantly, we want you to have a child, whether that's with us or someone else. And so we talk about exit strategies after people have been waiting to be rematched for generally around 9 months. We kind of go, this may not be working for whatever reason. Sometimes it's a jinx, and we want you to have a child. And so sometimes it means referring you to someone outside of, to another program in the surrogacy community. How many intended parents are waiting? Oh, it's so tricky. So if I have 10 intended parents waiting and a surrogate comes in and she says, I want to work with a single mom, and I have one single mom of those 10, it's not really the number of people waiting. Although I want to say every month we match 35 to 40 sets of intended parents, and that's a blend of rematch restart people and new clients. And generally at any given time, we have, I think, right around 100 people on our rematch restart list in various stages of that, coming and going, ebbing and flowing, matching each month. And so it really is, it is a numbers game in terms of how many surrogates have to see you, but not necessarily a numbers game of how many intended parents are waiting, because it doesn't matter if there are 100 people waiting if only one is a single woman who doesn't want to terminate a pregnancy. That it doesn't matter because there's only one, right? And when it comes to your criteria, your termination values, please, continue to update those as you sort of think about it more, or as you maybe change your mind. I will say, if you have PGTA tested embryos, terminating for Down syndrome isn't an issue, because Down syndrome isn't an issue. Your embryos either are Down syndrome positive and those embryos aren't used, or because they're tested as abnormal, or they are normal. And so when it comes to termination, to really sort of dig into what your values are. I will say many of our surrogates who are non-terminators are Christians. If you look at the research and the data, we know that those in the Christian community, the praying community, the faith-based community have a higher level of success, have a higher level of pregnancy wellness. I hate to say less chance of postpartum depression, less chance of difficulty during pregnancy, but it really is sort of what the research is saying, because there is just this level of calm and community and church-based practice. Okay, next question, because I could rant on that one. Quebec surrogates are a great option if if you can sort of work with the language barrier, if there is one, if you aren't a French speaker. Absolutely amazing. If you are a French speaker, even better. We've never seen an issue in Quebec. Surrogacy contracts aren't recognized, and in the rest of Canada, they're not recognized either. There is no case law that says what will happen and if a surrogate changes her mind, which is great news. The surrogate's never changed her mind in Canada. The bad news is there's no case law because the surrogate's never changed her mind. So Quebec is totally a safe space for surrogacy. Talk to your lawyer about surrogacy in Quebec to get a deeper legal opinion on it. But we have an amazing group of birthing people in Quebec that are signing up for surrogacy, and we just love it. We are the only program with French-speaking staff, and we are so, so proud of that. I think that's it for questions. I wanted to try to keep this to 30 minutes so that I wasn't rambling. But please do not give up. This is not a sign that you should not continue. It is not a sign that you should not be a parent. We are committed to your success. Our time between Christmas and New Year's is generally our busiest time for intake. So while you may not see any profiles over that time because the clinics aren't reviewing them, so we may be in a bottleneck, but we really hope that January will be your month. And please reach out with questions. We are here to support you and to honor your individual journey. So please reach out. We don't know what you need. And so we are a client-led organization. Many times we hear from people saying, well, I don't get a lot of communication. And for us, we really want to allow you to lead the conversation and to lead the thought process. So when you have questions, if you have questions, reach out to myself or Robin, Elena, Aaliyah. We are all here to support you. And if you email me, I will get it to the right person if there are questions that are outside of my sort of, experience. So whether it's a finance question, whether it's questions for your case specialist, I would be more than happy to get you to the right person. So thank you for hanging in there for these 30 minutes. I look forward to hearing from you, and we will speak to you very, very soon.